Hey guys, it's Kevin on the Murphy guys. This is my reviewing similar to a movie I reviewed a little while ago. This is another movie that I don't think many of you have heard about. It came out last week. I talked about it on my movie preview, and I figured I might as well check it out. And that is none other than The Strange Ones. And to be honest with you guys, going into this movie, I really did not know what it was about or anything like that. And after seeing it, I still don't know what it's really about, but without really getting into anything, I think this is basically, it's two brothers, they're on the run, they ran away from home for some reason, or at least we're led to believe that they're brothers, and it's basically them navigating around the woods, trying to survive basically, and coming upon several different people, and then all these revelations start to come out, and that's really all I'm going to say. So the Strange Ones in general, like I said, I had no idea what I was getting myself into with this movie. I saw the trailer, it looked very intriguing, it was very mysterious, and there were a lot of things that I was looking forward to here. The fact that Alex Pettyfer was in it, that was definitely something that was interesting, because up to this point, I didn't really think he was that great of an actor. I was worried that he was going to possibly kill the movie. There was just a lot going through my head when I was getting into this movie. I really, like I said, did not know what I was getting myself into. And after watching it, I will say this is not at all a bad movie. It's, definitely competently made and all that stuff, but I don't know if it entirely works. I really don't. The Strange Ones is one of the strangest. It's a strange movie, no pun intended, but that really is the best way to describe it. It's a very strange, out there film. But we're just gonna get into it, starting off with the cast. And right off the bat, let me just say that is easily the most surprising element of this entire film, because I did not think anyone was going to be good here. It's a not direct to DVD, but it's a VOD movie. I really, those usually aren't too good, especially these kinds. And I really did not think this one was going to be good at all. But I gotta say, Alex Pettyfer kind of blew me away in this movie. He is fantastic in this movie as his character of Nick. I really loved his character. He's very menacing. He's very chilling. He's got this sort of monotone type tone to him. He's one of those characters where it doesn't really seem like anything phases him. He doesn't really seem to care about much, and I really did love where they took his character throughout the film. Like I said, up to this point, I really never thought much of the dude. I thought he's just, but just another sort of actor who's there because girls think he's attractive, but honestly, I recommend you guys check his performance out. His performance alone is enough for reason to check out this movie, because it honestly might change your opinion on him. I definitely think he does have potential after this movie, and he really did a great job here, I have to say. And then James Freedson-Jackson, I will admit, the first hour of this movie, I thought he was really bad. He seems very wooden, and it really does seem like he's holding back. But after a certain revelation happens, I kind of took it less as this is him because he can't act, and more, this is someone who is a victim and has deep trauma. And because of that, they don't really articulate things in the way that you and I would, and they don't react to things in a normal way either, because they're just that damaged. And I think if you look at it from that lens, James Freedson-Jackson actually gives a fantastic performance, and I think this kid definitely has a lot of potential. And towards the last act of this movie, it basically does become his movie. He very much is carrying the film, and I gotta say, he really does a fantastic job, especially a performance that I really didn't think was all that great to begin with. I thought he honestly did a really fantastic job towards the end. And the chemistry between these two actually is very solid. Some of the best scenes are just seeing these two interact. You can tell that there's definitely something very broken about their bond, but they both do a fantastic job, and like I said, I was very impressed with both of their performances here. However, as good as the two brothers are, I can't really say the same for the rest of the cast. Everyone else is just kind of doing an okay job. There really wasn't anyone else that did stick out. Emily Althaus, I thought, was okay. Gene Jones, it's a good cast overall. No one really amazing besides the two brothers, and that's definitely what I will say. Now let's get to the directing and the writing, because here's where we start to get to some of my bigger problems with the film. Now, the directing. I do think the tone is right for this movie. It's very mysterious, it's very suspenseful, and it reminds me a lot of the film It Comes at Night, where it's very deliberately paced. It really takes its time in that way. And because of how slow it is, you're waiting for something big to happen. You're just waiting constantly, and I think that tension was very well demonstrated throughout the first hour or so of this movie. I thought that was definitely very well done. I really did love the way that they handled the tension here. And the directing by Christopher Radcliff and Lauren Wolkstein, they overall did a really good job when it comes to the directing, which is understandable because they've actually, done this story before and, as a short film, and I thought they did a very good job here. However, the screenplay really is my biggest problem with this movie, because let me just say right off the bat that I've heard this movie was a short film before, and yeah, I can definitely see it as well, because this really does feel like one of those films where they had this idea and it worked very well as a short film, and it just did not fit into a feature-length film, and I think that really is the biggest problem with this film. It doesn't fit into a feature-length film overall, unfortunately. Especially, the first act in general, like I said, the first 40 minutes, it's definitely very intriguing, but it's intriguing in the sense, it's intriguing where you're waiting for something big to happen, and throughout the movie, there just isn't really a ton going on, to be honest with you. Like, they're in the woods, and they come upon these several different characters, and you're thinking you're going to play some major role in the story, but after a while, you realize, no, they're just kind of here because they just need to, it's just filler. It didn't really feel like these characters needed to be here besides the two brothers, and that really was annoying me. But then, actually, after the first 40 minutes, the movie changed into something completely different, and that thing it changes to, I'm not really sure if I liked. I really don't think the movie needed to go there, and again, I think it all just kind of stems back to the fact that this was a short film, and it was stretched out way too long, and I think the movie tried to do a lot more than it really could. I genuinely do think that, especially when it comes to the brother. There's this huge revelation in the second act, and it's supposed to be this huge thing. It's supposed to change the film, and I was on board with it for the most part. Once they got into it, I'm like, okay, I really do like this. But then they give you this other twist, and then they present these other things, and none of it really feels like it belongs here. None of it really feels like it deserves, it's deserving of this twist. Nothing really feels like, it belongs in this movie. It just felt like they had all these really cool ideas and they shoved them in here, but they didn't want to do anything to really explain them. And, once it starts to get interesting, the movie just kind of ends, and it definitely did annoy me there. I was very annoyed with how that was done. Because like I said, there's really not much of a story going on here, especially after the first 40 minutes. There's really not much of a story. Honestly, it just left me more and more confused as it went on, and it just felt like the movie bit off way more than it could chew, and it did not work at all. The cinematography, I will say, is absolutely gorgeous. These visuals are fantastic. Just the shots of the woods in general, I thought there were some really great shots there. And what they do with this particular twist, which is in the trailer, but if you haven't seen the trailer, I'm not going to tell you, but it actually is a pretty big twist in the movie. What they do end up doing with that, I thought was definitely, really good with the visuals, and I really did enjoy that. The score, I love the score of this movie. It's very slow, it's very mysterious, it has all this tension to it, and again, you're waiting for something big to happen. You're waiting for something huge to come out of it, and it just never does. And I think, again, the editing is another big reason for that. This felt very much like a short film. It didn't feel like it worked as a feature-length movie, and I think the writers, they just got a little too into it. They're like, all right, we have a little bit more liberties that we can take, but it was already good as it was. You really did not need to make this into a full-length film, and I think that really is the biggest problem with this movie, because the fact that the short film's like 13 minutes, there isn't really a lot of story to tell here. There isn't really a lot more places to go from there, and it just really fell apart, I have to say. So like I said, overall, The Strange Ones is not at all a bad film. It has some interesting ideas. It surprisingly has some really decent performances, especially from Alex Pettyfer, who honestly kind of blew me away in this movie. It's got some incredibly arresting visuals and a very, like I said, intriguing story. It just never really knows where to go with it, unfortunately. And I am unfortunately going to give The Strange Ones overall a C. It's a movie that I kept waiting and waiting for something big to happen, and it does, but then the movie just kind of ends, and it just didn't feel like it earned any sort of its creative directions that it takes in the final act. So overall, guys, my review of The Strange Ones. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Loved your thoughts, and I would recommend you see this movie, but just don't expect a very complete, satisfying experience, because that's not really what this movie is. There's a lot of stuff that is left up to interpretation, and I'm all for movies, you know, treating the audience like it's smart, but there's a difference between treating the audience like it's smart and just not delivering in any sense of the word. And sure, you could make some sort of an you know, analysis, and you could do that, but for me, there's not enough information presented to really form a full interpretation of what's actually going on. But either way, guys, this is my review. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Loved your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.